Welcome back to Mountain Murders Offbeat. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
It is Wednesday. How you doing, Dylan?
It feels like a Wednesday, let me tell you.
Definitely feels like a Wednesday, or that we're just on a Monday loop.
Oh my goodness.
That's kind of how I've been feeling today.
The simulation, I've felt for a couple of days now like the simulation is failing me all around. It's like breaking apart. Like nothing makes sense.
This is spring break. Spring break, y'all. But it doesn't feel very spring breaky.
Hey, let's go to a super spreader event at the beach.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, you don't want
I had my first dose of Pfizer vaccine, though.
Oh my God, you got microchipped.
I did. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I feel like if the government wants to track me, run up, bitch. Come on.
This is all about making you die early. I'm just repeating conspiracy theories, guys.
I'm going to die early?
Yeah, because of this vaccine.
Well, I was going to say it's probably because I really like to eat French fries.
Well, whether or not that's true, I always point out that our grocery store is literally full of poisonous food that is not sold in most of the world.
Keeping it 100?
Keeping it 100.
I guess.
Yeah. So they're getting us any way you look at it.
Okay. Are you ready to tackle today's offbeat?
Yes, we have to just get up in it.
Well, we were talking and discussing about another asylum episode in this asylum series, but I'm kind of bored with asylums for now. We may revisit some of the other asylums on the list, but for now, let's move on to something else.
Yeah, and I think maybe our listeners may have got a little... It's just, they were all horrible. They all did atrocious things, similar, torturous things to people, horrible conditions. So moving on, what do you have for us next?
We're going to talk about some treasure.
Ooh.
Buried treasure. This is a good back to our roots, Dylan. This is a good Appalachian tale.
Ooh, tell me more.
In April of 1817, Thomas Beale and a party of about 30 men left Virginia, heading out west for the hunting trip of their dreams.
Oh, that sounds like a boys' time, right?
Buffalo, grizzlies, and whatever else happened to just pop up around the bend, right?
So no matter what it was getting shot.
Moose.
Shot and skinned.
Elk. Coyotes. Whatever they encountered. When Beale's party reached Santa Fe, the men split up. And it was then that they discovered gold and silver in a ravine. So over the next year, the men mined thousands of pounds of precious metals.
Oh, so they literally just stumbled upon veins of precious metals.
Yes.
Two of the most precious.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just out spitting and shitting in the woods, Dylan, and voila.
Yeah, and if you're seeing it on the surface to that degree, I bet it was a pretty good vein of gold and silver.
Beale, knowing the land was still under control of Spain, decided it was safer to send the treasure back to Virginia. He wrote that it should be, quote, securely buried in a cave near Buford's Tavern in the county of Bedford.
Oh, so he's got his booty, he's got it all gathered up, and he's buried it in a cave. So it's literally buried treasure.
Beale made his way via mule train to St. Louis, where he traded some ore for jewels. When he arrived in Virginia, he buried the treasure not in a cave, but in a grave. It was a grave-sized plot about 4 miles from Buford's Tavern.
That's pretty smart.
I want to talk a little bit about a mule train.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Is that literally a bunch of mules tied together?
I believe so.
Oh my
that
goodness.
Seems like a very rough way to travel.
And it probably smells.
You think so?
Yeah.
Probably a little stinky. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it is literally just a line of mules all tied together.
Are they dragging like a big wagon or something?
Leading a wagon.
Okay.
Yeah, that just seems uncomfortable and stinky.
So isn't a mule a donkey and a horse bred together to create a mule?
I think so, and I think a mule can't.
And then mules are sterile and they can't reproduce.
I think so. Or it's I think that's true.
Yeah. Some countryer than us person out there can be like, that's right. You're right or you're wrong.
I just remember my great-grandpa, he loved the brown mule ice cream when I was a kid.
Did I just say countryer than us?
Yeah. I don't
wow.
know. I'm sure it's somewhere out there, Dylan.
Sorry about that.
Beale would repeat this trip one more time before he returned out west for good in 1821. Before heading out to, New Mexico and beyond, he stayed at the Washington Hotel, which was located in Lynchburg, Virginia, and he befriended the hotel's owner, a man named Robert Morris. Now, as the story goes, Beale gave Morris this iron lockbox and told him to only open the box if he failed to return. Morris didn't know it, but the box contained 3 ciphers.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Yeah, so 3 ciphers.
Okay.
Do you want to figure out like a cipher? Do you think that'd be fun?
No, my brain's not. I would never figure it out.
You would just give up after like 2 seconds.
Well, I just would. Well, maybe if it's like a pictograph cipher or something, but if it's like numbers and stuff like that, I'm not going to be able to do it.
Well, Beale never returned, and the keys were never found to unlock this box. So far, only one of the 3 ciphers has been decoded. An amateur cryptanalyst.
Wow, is he looking for Bigfoot?
Yeah, he's a cryptanalyst.
Okay.
Cryptanalyst. There we go. He found the key, and it was the Declaration of Independence. He used that to solve one of the ciphers.
Oh, so one of the 3.
Yeah. It read, I have deposited in the county of Bedford, about 4 miles from Beaufort's, in an excavation or vault 6 feet below the surface of the ground. Morris spent 20 years trying to unlock the other codes. In 1862, a year before he died, he handed over some of these items to an anonymous person who discovered the Declaration of Independence as the key. In 1885, that unknown man enlisted the help of a guy named James B. Ward to publish a pamphlet telling Beale's story. In 1885, the Beale Papers was published as a thin blue booklet, and it would cost 50 cents if you wanted to buy a copy of it.
Yeah, back in the day, pamphlets and brochures were rather popular, interestingly enough.
Okay, so my question is, was that like a replacement almost for like magazines or something?
Well, I have been listening to a series about like the Golden Gate Bridge, Statue of Liberty, and things like that in American history, and they would use these pamphlets or brochures to drum up interest in the project or just to kind of create a buzz. So it was like, I guess, marketing, early marketing.
So they had marketing collateral back in the day.
Yeah, and then they would monetize them. Sometimes they'd give them out for free, and sometimes they would monetize them as a way to, draw up, create a fund for said project.
So there were men all across the 1800s, like sitting out in the outhouse outside with a candle reading their pamphlets?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah? Well, the decoded second cipher says that paper 1 describes the exact location of the vault, but no one can figure out the cipher. For years, people have desperately tried figuring out the key using like the Bible, Shakespeare's works, the Louisiana Purchase, Magna Carta, the Constitution, and even the lyrics from the Star-Spangled Banner. Experts say if the key was ever found, it would be super easy to decipher. But for now, it's just like a jumble of numbers and no one has figured it out.
So is this to lead you to the location where the actual treasure is?
This is the first cipher.
Right.
If it was decoded, it would give you the exact location.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I find it interesting no one has cracked it after all these years. For one, they cracked the 1 cipher. And it would kind of maybe give you an idea of the style or, that maybe the other 2 are in or the idea behind them. So that's pretty wild that no one's cracked it.
It is. And one of the things I was reading when I was doing my research was a lot of people have said, well, why can't you get a computer program to crack this code? But the thing is, the person who's programming the decoder would have to have
know
some kind of key to pop in for the computer to decode it.
Right. Because
the computer's just not automatically all knowing.
Right. It's not like it's old school puzzle.
Yeah.
And so, computers, it's not like it's encrypted with some digital format. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's just so simplistic that the computer wouldn't know where to start.
Right, and a computer has to be programmed by a person, and if a person doesn't know how to program the computer exactly, then this computer's not going to be able to solve this cipher either. Well, every year, treasure hunters have shown up to Bedford with metal detectors. Psychics have come along. They've used dowsing rods, Geiger counters to try to locate this treasure. An obscure law in Virginia says that items that are found on private property can be yours under the finder's keeper's law.
Oh, that's a great law they got up there.
So if I just found someone's lawnmower on their property, it's mine?
Yeah,
Is that how it works?
Maybe it doesn't go that. Maybe,
I don't think it does.
Maybe it has to be an unknown object to that person.
I think that might be more accurate, Dylan. People have searched foothills, the caves, the creeks, graveyards, and even a cistern looking for the treasure.
Wow. So interesting that maybe it puts off a very low amount of radiation. And I'm sure people's brought those big grounds, those like carts that scan the entire ground. I bet they've tried everything.
Some people have lost everything searching for this treasure. There was a man named Stan Zanowski. He spent $70,000 on backhoes and dynamite.
Damn, Stan's just randomly digging up and blowing up shit.
However, there are plenty of skeptics who've done some digging and think the treasure is like crap, that it's basically just a fictitious tale. First, there's no evidence that this Beale guy ever existed, much less that he went out west with a large party of 30. There's no information that he discovered these precious metals because it would have been 30 years before they were actually discovered in that region.
Oh, well, that's pretty compelling.
And there are some other holes in the story. But there are plenty of experts, including academics, who've scoured over the Beale information trying to solve this mystery. An ex-CIA agent named Carl Nelson Jr. went through all these old newspapers from St. Louis that would have been Beale's last checkpoint before he, was going out to the frontier. And he did discover a postmaster's notice dated October 1817. It was a copy of the Missouri Gazette for an S.T. Beale and an 1820 notice for a Thomas Beale in the Franklin Intelligencer. So as for Beale's ability to avoid arrest, researchers point to the Adams-Honest Treaty of 1819, which redrew the border between the U.S. and what was called New Spain.
Oh, okay.
So by taking this, he was like a criminal.
So treasure hunts and the idea of buried treasure fascinated me since I was just a very small child.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure a lot of our listeners can relate. The idea of treasure hunting, I watched The Goonies, and from then on, as a 5-year-old, I was determined I was going to go find some jewels, some pirate treasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I've always searched for cave openings anytime I'm near the shoreline, and I'm looking for One-Eyed Willie's gold for sure.
You are?
Yeah. But also, you don't know the value of this treasure, right?
Right.
You don't know what it is. It sounds like, according to the story, he took a large amount of raw ore and traded it for jewels, which would be precious as well and worth a lot, but easier to conceal and carry. And he went out west with a party of 30. So it seems unlikely that this person would be unknown, hard to track, because he has to be financed in the first place.
Right.
To take his entourage and his crew out there, because that's not an easy journey and, easy to get that far with all those people.
Well, and through my research, it seemed that when people did leave like a wagon train and go out west, that there was a lot of record keeping to document who was going, when they left, that kind of thing.
Right. Just so they can keep track of who's trying to go where and know when someone's maybe missing or been attacked or, come upon road bandits or anything like that.
Road bandits?
Yeah.
Like the Hart brothers?
Yeah, exactly like them.
Well, researchers discovered that there was not one, but at least 2 Thomas Beales living in Virginia during the early 19th century, and both have a curious little story, I guess, to go along with themselves. So in the early 1800s, one of them dueled a Lynchburg, Virginian man named James Risquet.
Oh, it's a great name.
Afterward, Beale reportedly went on the run. He fled town. Risquet suffered a non-fatal gunshot wound to the gut. He would stay in town in Lynchburg and raise a family. And guess who his grandson was? A man named James B. Ward, the same James B. Ward who published the Beale papers.
Really?
Even government agencies have, as I mentioned, tried to use their computers to crack and get these codes, but they can't because, like I said, computers aren't magic. They still require that human to write the code. So the Beale treasure mystery has kicked everybody's ass for decades, yet people regularly claim that they have found the X that marks the spot.
Well, see, that would suck if it never existed because then there's nothing to find and you're going to keep striking out and people's going to keep thinking if they just look one more place, they might find it. So, yeah, that's very unfortunate if that's truly is no treasure.
For many, the treasure hunting went from like hobby to obsession. As I mentioned, the one guy spent like $70,000 on backhoes and dynamite. People have like literally bankrupted themselves trying to find this treasure. One Pennsylvania steelworker made 36 trips to Bedford County before asserting that he found an empty treasure vault under an abandoned ice house. In 1989, a treasure hunter named Mel Fisher, who had at one point discovered 40 tons of gold and silver in the Florida Keys, failed to find Beale's treasure, but insisted he'd dug in the correct place. He grumbled to a reporter that the treasure had been moved.
Man, this dude already found 40 tons of gold and silver?
In the Florida Keys, yep.
Jeez.
A 19-year-old high school graduate phoned journalists at one point to tell them that he had dug up the treasure and had sent it to South America for smelting.
Yeah, before anyone seen it or anyone saw it or, confirmed what I've done, I've already mailed it off. Yeah, I'm having that made into like a golden car or some shit.
Well, there have been so many people trying to find this. I mean, at one point, someone got in trouble for actually like digging up graves in a cemetery trying to find the treasure.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going a step too far at that point, right?
Yeah. That's a little overreach, right? So yeah, I guess the debate is, are these ciphers real or are they an imaginary piece of writing to mess with people?
Well, I guess there's no way to know, but I'd never heard of the Beale treasure.
No. I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think it would be fun to do some treasure hunting, like to go to this town. I mean, they still get visitors, people trying to figure it out. The 4 miles from the tavern in all these locations. It could be fun, but I'm not going to spend $70,000 to do it.
Oh, so they have the starting point of the tavern. It's like 4 square miles around the tavern?
Yeah, he said he was bearing at 4 miles from the tavern. So people come, tavern, mark off 4 miles, go in different directions. Oh. The first cipher has a little bit of clues and details. So they go try to figure out these different places, landmarks that might exist. But
and you're
so
just
far, and there are people who actually believe that it's like buried under the tavern.
That would be a trick. Yeah, I saw this story one time of I think that's what drives people the hobby of metal detecting. People have a blast doing that.
Yeah, I know somebody who does that and apparently has found a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, they find old stuff. They find, valuable things like rings, watches, stuff like that. Gold necklaces around, like a public park or a beach or, hiking trail where people might drop things and not be able to find them right offhand. But I saw a story over in England. I can't remember exactly where. But there was an old man who was a metal detector. I don't know the term for that is, but he liked his metal detector. And he was out just beside the highway in this big field, and he found a hoard from like medieval times, and it was worth like tens of millions of dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just slap full of like gold coins and all these old weapons, and it was just insane. And there was so much of it.
Well, there are like historians and various people who estimate that the treasure's value in like today's money would be $63 million.
Oh,
Isn't that crazy?
wow.
Yeah, so if you have a mind for numbers and you could use $63 million in gold, then you could take a crack at this life-changing opportunity.
Well, all I need to do is get me to the tavern.
Yep.
And get a few beers with me, and I will find a good spot for us to dig.
So I'm actually going to post on Instagram the locality of the vault, and it's just a bunch of random numbers. So if someone out there is great at puzzle solving and you want to put your mind to trying to crack this, I think that, Dylan and I'd be willing to take 10%.
Yes, we will definitely sponsor you. Mountain Murders will sponsor your venture, but we need you to pay for everything. And but we will definitely keep the word out there and accept at least a little bit of credit for having told you about this in the first place.
So 10% I think sounds fair. If you get your 65 million, you just break us off 6.5 million and we'll call it a day.
Yup.
Right?
That works for me. And I just hope we find someone who is well financed and smarter than us so we can make this thing happen.
Well, just randomly looking at the numbers, my eyes glaze over.
Oh, the numbers of the ciphers?
Yeah, there's no way in hell that someone's going to figure this out.
It's not going to be us.
No, definitely not. And then you find out it's like a Harry Potter book is the code breaker.
Yeah, some 10-year-old kid's going to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking it's some crazy thing where Beale went to the future and got Harry Potter book and then like tried to make his cipher from that.
Oh, who is he, Biff?
Yeah. Yeah,
He's got the sports almanac?
Yeah, I mean, we watched the Back to the Future trilogy with my daughter this week. She's on spring break, so
yeah,
my mind is there.
Well, that's a very interesting story you dug out of the vault.
I feel like, and this is of course just my opinion, my feelings, so it's, not the truth, but I feel like this James B. Ward guy, like his grandfather had a duel with this dude who went on the run and published this pamphlet, and I think that was a character that he created, and this was all, I think it's a hoax.
That sounds maybe more likely than anything else. Just because.
Let's just think about this. Let's say you do have tons of ore. You're trying to bring it from New Mexico to Virginia. How the fuck are you going to deliver all that shit?
Well, that's why he laundered it into jewels, right?
Yeah, but still, he had to get it to St. Louis.
Well, that's true, and that's weight.
Still got to be like 1,000 miles or so, right, or more.
He had a fucking mule train, dude.
Yeah,
nobody's going to notice all this gold and silver ore in your wagon.
That's going to be a weighted down wagon, bro.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I mean, one of those little gold bullions or whatever, don't they weigh like 50 pounds?
It always looks really, really heavy.
Yeah.
It is rather heavy, right? Isn't that how the whole system works as far as finding it with your dredges and the sluice boxes? It's heavier than water or whatever. So, yeah. So that reminds me of another thing I was listening to.
It just seems impossible, unreasonable to think this man loaded up all this gold or whatever in wagons, made it to St. Louis, and then traded it in for some diamonds and rubies, and then went and buried that shit. I don't believe it.
Yeah, what about his entourage? Where's their cut?
Maybe they had a cut.
Oh, but they never talked about it.
Maybe not.
Maybe he killed them all along the way. Oh my gosh,
maybe he did.
Jesus.
Wow.
We just solved it.
You did. High five.
So they used gold and silver to pay the workers and when they were making the Panama Canal, and they would pay the white workers in gold, and they would pay the non-white workers in silver, and then they used those two terms to segregate everything else. So a store or a tavern or bar or whatever would be gold only, silver only. Isn't that fucked up?
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I had no idea.
I did not either.
Wow.
I'm just on this kick of American history tellers, and I'm learning about all this shit, dude.
Was there like a ship stuck in a canal?
Yeah, it was a Suez Canal recently.
Okay, because I don't pay any attention to like anything, and people kept like posting memes of a ship in a canal.
Okay.
And then you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, is that a thing?
Well, the reason I mentioned is the ship was called Ever Given, but it was owned by the company Evergreen, which is a huge shipping conglomerate worldwide, exporter, importers. And I kept bringing it up because the company I work for is Evergreen, not connected to this shipping company. But I was just pointing out the fact that I was wondering if our management team where I work at and the mill I worked at was in charge of this ship. And they blocked up world trade for 10 days. Because that seems plausible to me, because they're very ineffective.
Do you think that's why I can't get a MacBook Pro at my local Best Buy?
Quite possibly. It was holding up billions of dollars in trade and goods daily.
Oh, well, damn.
So there's that.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to news at all anymore. Like, I used to be such a news junkie, and now I don't know anything that's happening in the world.
You know what?
And can I just say, I feel like the best I've ever felt. I'm not stressed out. I'm not bothered. If I found out an asteroid was going to hit the world in like an hour, I'd just be like, oh, okay.
Well, can I say, I'm going to start practicing breaks from my phone, and I know this may be self-defeating because people are listening to us on a podcast right now. That's okay. Listen to your podcast all you want.
Yeah, I have to listen to my podcast.
But this social media stuff, watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix. It's a documentary, and it is eye-opening. All this is created to get your body to respond just like you're doing a drug. And that's why, you know, when you're like, I'm just going to do this for 10 minutes, and like you need to go to bed, but then it's like an hour and a half later, and you literally have to pull yourself away from whatever, Facebook.
Just the mindless scrolling.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's because it's doing all this shit to your brain, and it's like you can't stop. Your brain's just craving more and more. And it's intentionally designed this way so they can keep your eyes on the screen, and they can sell your time away to advertisers.
Interesting.
Oh my God, I've learned so much lately.
You have. Your brain is full.
Man, I'll talk about more later.
I'm excited. I can't wait to hear everything else you've learned.
Okay, one last tidbit.
Oh my gosh, you've got more?
The super moon is what helped refloat that huge ship that was stuck in the Suez Canal because the tide came up 18 inches higher than normal.
When you say the supermoon, is this when I went outside and pulled my pants down?
No.
That was the supermoon?
No, multiple times a year we're closer to the moon than ever, and that's when it's the supermoon, that's when it looks big.
Whatever. It was a blue moon in my front yard.
Oh my gosh.
Have you ever mooned someone?
I have not.
What?
You know my...
Have you ever lived? What's wrong with you?
You know I don't want to show people my butthole.
Why?
You've been trying to see it for weeks.
Let's not talk about that here.
Yeah.
This is not the time or place.
Yeah,
I'm just asking, have you ever mooned someone?
And the answer is no.
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 Wow. Okay. I've learned so much today.
Are you talking about just like a flash of the cheeks? Or are you talking about full-blown double cheek grab spread moon?
Well, I don't mean like, no, I don't want to see like the spread eagle. I don't want to see that. I'm talking just moon somebody. Like you're driving down the road and you moon your friend in the car or some person that you don't like or whatever.
What is this, a 1980s ski movie?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You know I live my life like it's a 1980s movie.
Yeah, you do.
Saying inappropriate things and like trying to get laid.
It's true.
While I wear my leg warmers.
Yeah, while carrying a keg on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Toga. While I'm calling people nerds. And burning down their fraternity house. Nerds.
So many movies in the 80s and 90s could never be made today.
Yeah.
The 90s were just as bad.
The 90s in some ways were worse.
They're all out onslaught of gays.
There's so much homophobia and like homophobic jokes in the 90s.
It's hard. I mean, and it really does. I don't know. Like I can watch those movies and be like, well, it was just a different time. But they just went hard in the 90s.
They did.
Some of that I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
When was this funny?
Well, when we watch
it was funny.
Stuff with our kids are obviously like, what? Oh my gosh.
It was funny back then.
That's not woke.
I remember laughing. So I guess I've evolved as well.
Weird Science is one of those movies that would like never ever be made today.
Oh, you mean the grown woman making out with the two 15-year-old boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's very sexualized and like trying to bang them the whole time.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And Anthony Michael Hall's black accent he's doing in that club when he's like drunk with all those guys playing poker.
Oh, like in the Blues Club? Yeah.
Yeah, come on, man. You know what I said, and then I just slapped her in the face, and oh my God.
Yeah, well, it's the same with like Revenge of the Nerds.
Right.
Because they joined the Lambda fraternity, right? And it's like the all black fraternity.
Yeah.
And just the fact that they're kind of like trying to poke fun or something. I don't know. It would not fly today.
Hey.
So many things.
But the pendulum can swing the other way too far.
You know what movie stands the test of time and will offend no one?
What?
No one puts baby in the corner. That's right. Dirty Dancing has it all, Dylan. It's got hungry eyes.
It has a young Patrick Swayze. It has socioeconomic connotations. Is that right?
Connotations?
Connotations? Is that how you say that word?
Sure.
Yeah. See, I derailed that. Aha! Struck again.
No, it's got these socioeconomic themes.
Yes.
You're rich, I'm poor, let's dance.
Yes.
The world won't accept it.
But yeah. So what? Your dad's a doctor. Who are you supposed to be? But then we need your dad in the middle of the night because of this botched abortion.
Because there's this pro-choice message or something in the film.
It's your body. If you want to get hacked up in an alley, it's your choice.
It's like there's the hidden, make it safe and legal underlying theme. No, I don't know.
It's actually, I watched a thing about the making of Dirty Dancing, to speak of that. And it's actually, written by a woman and produced by women and all that.
Yeah, it was actually based on the writer's own life and her experience growing up and going to the Adirondacks or something.
Yeah.
To these,
Sure
resorts
was.
as a kid in the 60s.
Pretty big stuff.
Yeah, so anyway, it's the film that stands the test of time. If you want a good treasure hunting movie, go check out The Goonies. If you haven't seen it, then there's something wrong with you.
Come on.
But it's going to make you want to go rewatch it. It's going to make you want to go find some pirate treasure. And I think that it would be really fun if we got a group of people together this summer and we went on a treasure hunt, Dylan.
Oh, well, those people that are in those geocache competitions?
Yeah.
Those seem really interesting to me, but they seem like you got to be really smart, too, because it's like you got to break down the longitude and latitudes and all these damn tricks and cryptic messages and shit. Yeah, so we better get off here. I feel like we're rambling.
I can use a compass.
You can use a compass?
Yeah, but really only on water.
Okay, so we're putting
I can navigate us if we go to the Florida Keys or something. I'll be like, oh, let's set this bearing and we just paddle this way.
What are we, in a rowboat?
Yeah.
What the hell? So we're putting a team together, guys. Heather obviously can lead the boat.
Yeah.
And I will. I'm good at packing things, so I will pack our provisions and make sure we have a little bit of alcohol to keep this thing fueled. And we just need some other talented members.
I'm angry. I will wrestle an alligator. I don't give a fuck. Who else do we need? We need somebody who's a good cook to come along. We need somebody with a first aid kit.
We need some muscle.
Yeah, we need somebody who's going to read the fucking treasure map and figure it out.
And we need somebody who's going to do all the work and figure it all out so we can all take credit with them.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Offbeat, the Beale Treasure. Thanks so much. We'll be back on Sunday with another true crime story for you.